There are so many faith-based nonprofit organizations that are doing just incredible work for the kingdom. And one of those organizations is Visalia Rescue Mission.
When people see the Visalia Rescue Mission, I believe the first thing they think of is homelessness. We're picking up individuals off the street here and there. We want to satisfy the physical portion as well as the gospel mission. The gospel mission for us is much more important because it's long-lasting and eternal versus just the physical needs of an individual.
They'll take people who might believe that God's given up on them and help to restore their hope. And they do it one shower at a time, one meal at a time, one faithful step at a time.
We connect with organizations every week, all the time, that have really heavy, weighty things that they're dealing with. And we're talking about who is going to be the next leader for our organization. It's how do we honor the leader that we currently have as they transition out. Visalia Rescue Mission had a lot of these same kinds of questions.
Our current executive director at that time was really considering an exit. He had done such a wonderful job at the rescue mission that those were going to be some big shoes to fill. It wasn't something that we were taking lightly. You know, we needed to find a succession plan.
When you think about the future of your organizational leadership, the cost of hiring the wrong person or, trusting only yourself to do something like that, the cost is pretty high.
It was unbelievably imperative for us to get it right.
When our partnership with Visalia Rescue Mission began, we realized really quickly that the process had to begin with succession.
How do we best honor our outgoing leader? But then also, how do we consider the future? And how do we think on how best to set ourselves up for the next season of leadership?
We had to create a plan. We had to work together to see what were the next steps that needed to be taken in order for them to get to the place where they would be ready to search for their next executive director.
We have the opportunity to jump into the messiness and the complexity and often the layers of relational nuances and join them as they consider how to move forward. And what I love is when we partner with an organization, we actually get to determine who is best equipped to serve this organization. And given Paul's background and experience and size working with organizations similar to Visalia Rescue Mission, it was clear that he would be the best one to walk alongside Visalia.
I remember sitting on the flight back home after doing the site visit, and I remember feeling so much joy for the board because they exercised some real courage. I also felt the burden and the responsibility of having to find, a really great executive director. This is where we really begin to have a lot of fun. We get introduced to a lot of different candidates, getting to understand what their calling is, what their passion is, and work on behalf of the organization to really find, who's going to be a great fit, who's going to thrive within that context. And then I met Michael.
Making contact with Paul at Slingshot kind of put this opportunity on my radar. And as I got to know it more, learned more about the opportunity, got to meet the people, it definitely captured my heart.
When Slingshot first arranged for Michael to come out for an interview, I said, Michael is on fire for the Lord, number one. Number two, he checks all the boxes of where he's coming from and his experience. The feedback that I got from all the other board members after he came and did his initial interview and left was very unanimous. The board decided to offer him a position on the spot to begin at the beginning of the year.
One of the things that I was honestly most excited about was that it felt very much like we were coming into a new season with a blank canvas, where the board and the team was kind of going, we need somebody to help us figure that out. And that is right in my wheelhouse.
Michael has so quickly established himself as a trustworthy leader, not only to myself, but to the board.
100% right decision to have Slingshot come and do their assessment and be on site and do the succession planning and do everything that led to Michael being the executive director. There's so much that goes into the interview process. They took all that heavy burden away, but also held our hand and were part of our team. I can look back on it now and say this was a much easier process with Slingshot.
I am both excited and challenged by the job in front of us and super grateful. Seeing in my team, just seeing them lean hard into their own calling to equip them and to speak life into them and remove obstacles for them, to challenge them sometimes, that God has called and anointed them, and then just, it's my genuine pleasure. Thinking about the journey of how I've gotten here, this doesn't happen apart from Slingshot.
The most important asset to your mission are your people. And if you don't get your people right, you don't get your mission right. And so we absolutely want to help you get your people right. Every remarkable mission deserves a remarkable team.